Okay, loan repayments. So girls, it's when you borrow a certain amount of money from the bank or some other institution, and often what you need to do is you'll need to make repayments at the end of each year or at the end of each month. In real life, often the end of each month, you will make repayments. Now, let's say you've borrowed $100,000 from the bank and they're going to charge you interest for the first month. So let's say you borrowed $100,000, they're going to charge you interest. Let's say your interest for the first month is $600 or something. So now, I'll just play around here. So let's say you borrow $100,000 and then they might charge you $600 interest. That's what you borrowed, $600 interest for the first month. So now what do you owe them? $10,600, but of course you're going to make a repayment. So what happens with loans, you have your loan, they'll work out the interest for the first month, and then they'll add it on to what you owe them, and then you make a repayment. So minus the repayment. Now, if the repayment is not more than $600, you're not paying anything off. So your repayment should be more than $600. Let's say it's $700. Basically, how much have you taken off that loan in the first month? You've only taken $100 off. $99,900, all right, at the end of the first month. So next month, they charge you interest on $99,900. Now, the interest will be at the same rate. It's going to be a little bit less than $600. Let's say it's $590 now, the interest, or whatever, $595, doesn't matter. Minus still the same repayment. Do you get what I'm... So this is A1, amount owing at the end of the first month, for example. An extra what? Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay, amount owing at the end of the second month. I've just made these values up. You now still owe them $99,900. You'll pay interest at the same rate and a repayment. So, girls, what's going to happen? You're going to owe less than $99,900 this time. 99,000, I think it's 795 or something like that. All right. So girls, that's why, don't worry about copying this out yet. That's why this is called a reducible interest loan, because what happens is the interest gets smaller and smaller each month. The amount that you owe them gets smaller and smaller each month. But this is how loans work. Okay, they work out the interest for that period, and then you'll make a repayment for that period. Now, some of the questions in this exercise are yearly, some of them will be monthly, all right? Because, and what will happen in the end, girls, is that your balance at the end needs to be zero once you've paid the loan off, all right? So when we do our questions here, our monthly repayments, often we have to work out the monthly repayment, and they call it M often, okay? So don't worry about that yet. When I do the questions, it's going to be, you'll understand it a lot better. So loan repayments exercise 812. In a reducible interest loan, do you know why it's called reducible interest now? Because every month the interest goes down because you owe them less. Interest is calculated on the amount still owing at the end of each period before the repayment for that period is taken off. So we've got our principal, we add on the interest, then we take off the repayment each period. And this process is repeated until the amount that you owe them reduces to zero. And we use two formulas. We'll use the formula for compound interest, and we also use the sum of a geometric series. So we're going to use two things, just as we did for the superannuation question. So with the annuities question, our amounts were always getting bigger. With this, we need the final amount to be zero. We're going to be looking at the end of how many years that we owe them nothing, okay? So the formula for compound interest can help work out regular loan repayments. We also use the sum of a geometric series. Now, $20,000 is borrowed at 18% per annum interest over 8 years. How much will the repayments be if they are made monthly? All right. So girls, monthly is what the repayments are being made. So we don't calculate interest annually. We've got to change the interest to months. And the 8 years will also be, yeah. All right. $18% per annum interest, 8 years. How much will the repayments be if they're made monthly? So let M equal the monthly repayments. The number of repayments will be 8 times 12. 8 years times 12, which is 96 monthly repayments. And the interest rate is equal to
18 divided by 12.
yeah, 18% per annum, but we don't want per annum, which is 18 over 12% per month, which is 1.5% per month. Okay, so it's really important that your repayments are in months and that your interest rate is monthly, because that's when interest gets added on, compounded at the end of each month, and then a repayment is made each month. Even though it says repayments are made monthly, the interest is therefore automatically calculated monthly.
Should you write the 1.5%?
I will in a minute. Well, yes, I can do that, but remember on your formula sheet how it says 1 plus R over 100? On your formula sheet, so yeah, so girls, you know how, for example, A equals P, 1 plus capital R to the N, or A equals P, 1 plus R over 100 to the N. Always in year 9 and 10, I think we taught you this formula here, where R is a decimal, and now on the new formula sheet, they've got 1 plus little r over 100 to the N. That means that they've just divided the R by 100, so therefore, this 1 plus R, so we can write this now if we want as a decimal, which is what? It doesn't matter. We'll fix it up in the first one. All right, just leave it. Okay, so let's start. A1, we're going to let A1 equal the amount owing after 1 month. So therefore A1 equals. Tell me what the bank's going to do. They're going to take my $20,000. They're going to charge me interest just for 1 month. They don't charge me interest for 96 months. They just charge me interest. Your interest for the first month is this. I'm going to add it on, and then we're going to take off your repayment. But the problem is we don't know what the repayment is. So we're just going to call it M. So it's going to be 20,000, 1 plus 1.5 over 100, because that's the monthly interest rate, to the power of 1, minus M. So it's my principal. I'm going to times it by, so I've got A equals P, 1 plus R to the N. That gives me the amount owing. So girls, you know how I showed it to you at the beginning and I said the amount, let's add on the interest and take off the repayment? The formula A equals P, 1 plus R to the N already adds the interest on for you. It's the total amount at the end of that month. That formula does not give you interest. It gives you exactly what you're owing. So, girls, we're not going to actually work out what it is. We're going to keep it in this format, but we're just going to simplify the 1.5 over 100, which is 0.015, which is 1.015 to the 1 minus M. We leave it like that. So the amount owing after 1 month is 20,000, 1 plus 1.5 over 100 to the power of 1 minus M, because I make my repayment. They charge me interest for the month, they add it on. Now the A formula adds it on for me, then take away my repayment. All right, are we okay? Please don't mess up the decimal places here. 1.5 divided by 100 is 0.015, added on to the 1. A2 is the amount owing after the second month. I'll just write it once, but from now on, you won't write A1 equals amount owing after 2 months, like A2, because you can see. So girls, tell me, what do I owe them at the end of the first month? The A1 amount. So I've got to take my A1 amount, whatever's there, minus M, times that. That's my new principal. That A1 amount is my new principal, times that by 1.015 to the power of 1 for the next month. You don't put to the power of 2. So girls, at the end of the first month, I owe this with a star. That's my new balance. I then take that principal, remember A equals P, that's my new P, 1 plus R for 1 more month, minus M. Now what you need to do is just expand. So, not expand fully, but you know this times 1.015 is 20,000, 1.015 to the power of what? Yeah. Do you get that? That times that times that, minus 1.015 to the m minus m.
And is that our new principal?
That's our new A2.
So like for A3, like would that be our new principal?
Now, what you can do if you want, some people do it like this. They take the m out as a common factor here, and they like to write it like that. So, are you okay with this? So you multiply that by that, you multiply that by that, and then you write your minus m on the end. This could also be written like this. 20,000, 1.015 squared minus m is a common factor, 1.015 plus or minus 1? Plus 1. That's A2. If you want. Now, A3.
So is that our new principal?
Sorry? Yes. By writing it, look, I could just leave it like that. What would be the pattern for A3? This would be a 3, that would be a 2. Then you'd have a, or I just throw another term, yeah. So A3, I'm just going to see, but the thing, girls, is I know you can see the pattern, but you've always got to do the first few because they often show that at the end of 3 months that this is what you owe.
Wait,
So you can't just say and following the pattern.
so
You
wait,
need to show it.
what's our common ratio?
In a minute. We're just writing down. So at the end of the 3rd month, I'm just going to do one more. And look, I can either use the second last line if you want, or I can use the last line if we want. Which one will I use?
Do the second
I'll use this. No, I'll use, do you want me to use the second last one or the last one? It doesn't matter. The last one, minus m, 1.015. You've got to be careful, but if you're using the last one, all of that gets multiplied by 1.015 to the power of 1 minus m. Now you're going to need to expand that a little bit, but you look at what happens, girls. Are you okay with this? So at the end of the 3rd month, girls, some of you might find it easier to work from this second last row. Some of you might find it easier to work from this other one. All right? If I actually work from the second last one, you can see it's cubed, squared, power of 1, and, all right? Or if I work from this one, what have I got? Times that by that, what do I get? Cubed. 2,000, 1.015 cubed minus
and then that's squared.
m, yep, 1.015 squared. Now, if you want,
Oh, what happens to plus 1?
girls, what you can do, yeah, I'm going to fix it up in a minute. Won't this now be, if you want, you can just go m, that plus 1.015 plus 1. And you know what? I'm not going to go from this step because you're not going to like it. Look, that times that is that one. Aren't I going to do that times the m, and I get minus m 1.015? You know what, girls? I'm going to work from the star. I'm going to go from the star because I think you're going to find it too hard. All right, so wait, I'll leave that. Leave it. I'm just going to go from the star to the star. Shh, girls. What will happen, girls? See how you've got m 1.015 plus 1? What happens is you get 1.015 squared, 1.015, 1. But if you want, girls, can you not see how that times that gives you the squared there? You can see that, can't you? That times that would put the 1.015 here. It's minus 1.015 m, but I've already factorized it out. And then the plus 1 is from this. But look, if you don't like that, I'm going to go from this step here, if you don't like that, or I can go like this. A3 is 20,000, 1.015 squared minus 1.015 m minus m. Some of you will find it easier just to do this, 1.015 to the 1 minus m. If I go from that star, do you understand what I'm doing? I'm going from that easier line to there. And you'll find this easier. So what have you got? 20,000 cubed minus 1.015 squared m minus 1.015 m minus m. That's the other way you can do it. So from the star, this one here, From this one, I can just times that by 1.015 to the power of 1 minus m, and a lot of you will find that that's easier. But then on the next step, you've got to take out the m.
They always do show questions and then pull out the
Yeah, minus. So the first one will be on its own, then I can pull out the m. Now what do I do? 1.015 squared plus 1.015 plus 1. Okay. Girls, I'm sorry about that. But you know what's going to happen is that as you get confident, you're going to start doing it this top way. But you don't have to. You can go from that times that by 1.015 to the power of 1 minus m.
So what's our R?
Continuing this, dot, 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 so continuing, what's eventually, how many payments are there?
96.
So A96 will be, now this is what you've got to do. See how this is A3? Look at the pattern. Or A2, for example. If you look at the A2 final one, A2, it's got a squared and then a power of 1 and a 1, a normal 1. Do you know what I mean? If you look at the A3 pattern, the first term has the same power cubed. Then it's minus m and then 1 power less, and you keep going down to nothing. Does that? So you follow the pattern. A96 will be 20,000, 1.015 to the power of what? 96 minus m, 1.015 to the 95 plus 1.015 to the 94 plus dot, 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 all the way down to 1.015 plus 1 for the last two. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? So you've got to go from 95 all the way down to 1. Now, we say, but. Are we good with that? But what happens after 96 payments? Isn't the loan paid off? But the loan is repaid, is paid out after 96 months. So therefore, A96 equals 0. So I therefore put 0 equals this, and I can work out m. A96, A means amount owing at the end of the month. The last repayment is not 0. If I go back to all my definitions, see how A2 is amount owing after 2 months? A96 is amount owing after 96 months. A means amount owing at the end. So it's 0. We know it's paid out after 96 months. So now, girls, I just put A96 equals 0. So therefore, and then I sum. Yep, we're going to sum. All right. So we keep going. So now, so therefore, 0 equals 20,000. 1.015 to the 96 minus m times 1.015 to the 95 plus dot, 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 all the way down to 1. You know what? It might be a good time to turn that one around. So girls, how do I work out m? Wouldn't I put this over to the left and divide that by that? So therefore, I go m equals, taking that over, I get 2,000, 1.015 to the 96 divided by all of that.
Isn't it 20,000?
Yep. 20,000, 1.015 to the 96 divided by this whole thing. Now, I'm going to write that thing around the other way. Do you know why? Well, we never put the highest term first. All right. So, I've gone, girls, so are you okay? I just took that over to the left and then put that divided by that to make m the subject. I've only made m the subject. Now, I point to the bottom bit and I say, this is a geometric series with, the bottom bit is, with a equals, girls, do you know why I swapped this around? I've been doing it in the exercise before. We don't put the highest term first, we always put the smallest term. I swapped it around.
So it's A1.
With a equal to 1, r equal to 1.015, N equal to, be careful, this is 1.015 to the 1. Make it bigger. It's 96 terms because 1.015 is to the power of 1 and this goes up to the power of 95. So from there to there, I've got 95 terms. If you start counting at 1 and finish at 95, you've got 95 terms, plus this term here is your 96th term. Do you see you've got 96 numbers? If you start counting at 1 and finish at 95, that's 95 plus this one is 96. N is 96. So therefore, the sum of the 96 terms is A, r to the n minus 1 over r minus 1. Sum of the 96 terms is A is 1. 1.015 to the 96 minus 1 over r minus 1 would be 1.015 minus 1. No, it's not 95. Do you know why? It starts at 1 to 95, but then there's the extra term there. Can you see that? Yeah. So when you start at 1 and you finish at 95, that's like counting on your fingers. 95 terms. Don't forget this term here. That's the 96th term. So did someone work out what that S is?
I got 211.72.
That's okay. 211 point.
72. Do you just want it to 2 decimals?
No.
023.
Etc. Just keep it there. So therefore, M equals, do not cancel out that answer. M equals what? 20,000. 1.015 to the 96 divided by your answer. Answer.
I bumped it up.
You don't delete the answer.
Yeah.
390 point. Give me 2 decimal places rounded, it's money. 0.46? What was it exactly? For what? 4642. Yeah, it should be 46. We better just check that we don't round it up.
Yeah, do 6 months.
Well, pick a question.
They're all monthly.
Well, they are all monthly. They don't do 6 monthly in loan repayments. They're all monthly. Choose another one.
Let's do a hard one. Can we do the last question? 15.
Wait, can we just do one? I'm doing this tomorrow as well. 2 days on this. Go easy. Right. All right, we can, and then we can do past HSCs tomorrow for this particular one. All right. I'll do another one. Just let me have a look, even though I'm blind. But is 15 the last one?
Yeah.
A loan of that charge monthly amount. That's.
I don't know.
It's really straightforward. So these are all straightforward. So we're only going to give you a couple to practice tonight from here. Tomorrow we'll do HSC questions. So a store offers furniture, hire purchase, 5 years with no repayments. Oh, all right. We're going to do question 14 because there's no repayments for 6 months first. Do they charge interest? How much does he owe after 6 months? All right. We're doing question 14. Read it to me.
Are you ready?
So this one's different. This has different initial conditions and then, you still writing that?
Are you ready?
All right, go. Question
A
14.
store offers furniture on hire purchase at 20% per annum over 5 years.
What? A store offers furniture.
Offers furniture on hire purchase at 20% per annum over 5 years with no repayments for 6 months.
Wait a sec.
For 5 years with no repayments for 6 months.
Yep.
Ali buys furniture worth $12,000.
12,000.
Yeah. So how much does Ali owe after 6 months? It's not offices, it's offers. O-F-F-E-R.
A store offers furniture on hire purchase at 20% per annum for 5 years with no repayments for 6 months. Ali buys furniture worth $12,000. Girls, this is not a charity store. they're going to charge this person interest for that first 6 months. They don't say no interest for 6 months, they just say no repayments for 6 months. So they're going to charge this person interest for 6 months, but they don't have to make repayments. So the starting amount is not going to be $12,000 anymore. The starting amount is going to be $12,000 with 6 months of interest on there. Okay? So the first question is, part A.
How much does Ali owe after 6 months?
How much does Ali owe after 6 months? So, okay, now, A, I'm just going to write down what part B question is, which is, what are the monthly repayments?
Yeah.
So, girls, what we've got to do, because it's saying monthly repayments in part B, I'm assuming that interest is compounded monthly. They're not going to compound interest 6 monthly and then all of a sudden compound interest monthly. If you're making repayments monthly, interest is definitely added on at the end of each month, but they're just saying you don't have to make payments for the first 6 months. So we go to part A answer. How much does Ali owe after 6 months? So A equals P, 1 plus R over 100 to the N. Now, your principal is $12,000. Now, we've got to work out our R and our N. Well, what's your N? How many months? 6 months. And what's your interest rate? 20% per annum, which is 20 over 12% per month. Is it recur? It's 1 point, isn't that 1 and, what's 20 over 12?
1 and 2/3.
All right, so we need 1.6 recurring. A bit of a pain. What's 1.6 recurring as a, so we've got 1 plus, girls, what I would do if I were you, I'd be writing as 1 plus 20 over 100 divided by, no. So girls, watch, 1 plus R over 100 over here is 1 plus 20 over 12 divided by 100. You just put the 2 zeros there. Do you get that? That's what 1 plus R is. What's 1 plus R? Can you do 1 plus R over 100, sorry, as a fraction before we even start? 1 plus R over 100 is 1 plus 20 over 12 divided by 100. You put the zeros down there.
1 on 60.
1, what is it as a?
1 on 60.
1 and 1 on 60?
No, 1 on 60. 61 on 60.
It's 61 on 60.
Oh, you want me to plus 1 as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you get that?
Yeah, 61.
Girls, that's much better to put, instead of 1 plus 1.6 recurring over 100, and once you start rounding that off, you're going to get into a lot of trouble. So, because we know we've got a recurring decimal here, I'd be going 1 plus 20 over 12 divided by 100 on my calculator, making it an improper fraction, and this 1 plus R over 100 is 61 over 60, so I think we should put 61 over 60 here. Clean. No rounding errors.
Why aren't we timesing 6 by...
To the power of 6.
No, why aren't we timesing 6 by 12?
Because it's already 6 months. Because you have to put interest rate per month and how many months.
Okay.
It's 6 months. So therefore, can someone work that out?
Miss your laptops.
11% is fine. 1,000, 13,
13251.
point,
0.1.
money.
That's the answer for part A.
Good. So girls, that's the answer for part A. Now for part B, what are the monthly repayments? That's the principal. 12,000 is not the principal. That's what you owe them at the beginning of the time that you start making repayments. But be careful. 20% per annum for 5 years, 6 months interest, not interest free, but no repayment. It's 5 years minus 6 months.
So
Girls, it's just no repayments for 6 months. But the hire purchase goes for 5 years. So therefore, N for part B, your new principal is going to be 13,251.13. N, your number of years, is 5 times 12 minus 6.
it's 54.
It's 54 months. Girls, because we don't add on another 5 years, we don't do another 60 months, that means that the hire purchase goes for 5.5 years. It doesn't. It's just that you don't pay interest for you don't make repayments for the first 6 months. You don't make repayments, but they're still going to charge you interest. So for the next bit, P is that. N is going to be 54 months. So we're just going to make 54 repayments. A54 is going to be our last one. All right, I'm going to start now. I need to do A1, A2. Yeah, no. If I work out now the repayments for those 4.5 years, the monthly repayments, I bet they're going to be, I don't know if they're going to be more than if you just paid back on day one. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Let's say you had to start paying after the first month. That would be any 60 principals, 12,000. And you could do it that way. It'd be interesting to know whether you're going to make, you probably are going to pay more back doing this way. All right? People think that they're saving, but they're more than likely not going to be saving.
They're not saving.
Of course they're not saving. Because the principal's higher, I know there's a shorter number of repayments. I mean, but